The Confederation Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Melissa Chen placed the data slate on the crystalline table. Around her, representatives from 12 advanced species watched with expressions ranging from amusement to outright contempt. The Kralix ambassador's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. Another human petition, he announced to the assembly. They wish to purchase kinetic weaponry to defend their colony on Threshold 9. Melissa remained standing, her posture rigid despite the exhaustion that pulled at her bones. 3 months of negotiations and still the council treated humanity like children, playing at galactic politics. The raiders have attacked 17 times, she said, her voice steady. We've lost 200 colonists. We need weapons capable of... No weapon in this galaxy can penetrate Valerian armor, interrupted Councillor Thex, the towering insectoid leader of the Confederation military. The raiders you speak of are exiles, yes, but they wear the same biotech shells that have protected the Valerian people for 10,000 years. Your primitive projectile weapons are useless. Then sell us plasma rifles, Melissa countered. Energy weapons, anything. The Kralix ambassador's eye stalk swiveled toward her. The Confederation does not arm species who cannot defend themselves with their own technology. It is our oldest law. When humanity develops weapons capable of breaching Valerian armor, you may purchase from our markets. Until then, he made a dismissive gesture with his lower arms. You're on your own. Melissa's hands clenched at her sides. They said we couldn't break the sound barrier. They said we couldn't split the atom. They said we couldn't reach the stars. She met each counselor's gaze in turn. We did all of those things. And we'll do this too. The chamber erupted in what passed for laughter among the assembled aliens. Only one species remained silent. The ancient archivists wrapped in their environmental suits, their actual forms unknown to the galaxy at large. Their representative simply tilted its head, watching Melissa with what might have been curiosity. 6 months later, Liam Torres stood in the firing range beneath Luna Station, watching the first prototype cycle through its loading sequence. The weapon looked crude compared to the elegant plasma rifles he'd seen Confederation soldiers carry. All reinforced steel and magnetic coils, with none of the bioluminescent beauty that seemed standard in galactic design. But Liam hadn't built it to be pretty. Railgun Mark 7 ready for testing, announced Dr. Yuki Tanaka over the intercom. Projectile velocity at 98% of theoretical maximum. Liam stepped up to the firing platform, settling the weapon against his shoulder. The target downrange was a captured piece of Valerian armor, the same biotech shell that had turned aside every bullet, every explosive, every desperate attempt at defense that the colonists had managed. On your mark, Yuki said. Liam's finger found the trigger. The weapon hummed as the magnetic coils charged, building power. He thought of the names etched on the memorial wall above ground. 200 souls who died because the galaxy had decided humanity wasn't worth helping. He fired. The projectile left the barrel at 8 kilometers per second. The sound was unlike anything Liam had heard before. Not a bang, but a crack that seemed to split the air itself. The depleted uranium penetrator struck the Valerian armor dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the armor began to spiderweb, cracks spreading from the impact point. The biotech shell that had protected the Valerians for 10 millennia shattered like glass, fragments scattering across the range floor. Silence filled the observation room. Then Yuki's voice, barely a whisper. We did it. Liam lowered the weapon, his hands shaking. Get Melissa on the line. Tell her we're going to need 9 more of these. The second council meeting was different. This time Melissa didn't come alone. Liam and 9 other engineers accompanied her, each carrying a case containing one of humanity's new weapons. The designs varied, railguns, coil guns, and experimental plasma kinetic hybrid, but all shared one characteristic. They could penetrate Valerian armor. Impossible, Thex declared, examining the test footage Melissa had provided. Our archives contain over 50,000 years of weapons development. No kinetic weapon has ever breached Valerian biotech. Your archives didn't account for human stubbornness, Melissa replied. She gestured to Liam, who opened the nearest case. We call this one Peacemaker. Fires a magnetically accelerated tungsten rod at Mach 25. Effective range, 3 kilometers. Penetration depth sufficient. The Kralix ambassador leaned forward. You developed 10 different designs. 10 working prototypes, Liam corrected. We have 43 more in testing. He allowed himself a small smile. Turns out when you tell humans something is impossible, we take it as a challenge. The archivist representative stirred for the first time. Its voice emerged from its suit's translator as a chorus of harmonics. How long did this development take? 6 months, Melissa answered. Remarkable. The archivist approached one of the weapons, studying it with sensors that emerged from its suit. The Valerian armor was considered invulnerable for 10,000 years. The Council has denied 17 species the right to arm themselves because they could not breach this defense. Yet humanity, the youngest species in the Confederation, solved the problem in less than a standard cycle. Thex's carapace plates shifted, a sign of agitation. This changes nothing. The law still stands. Humanity must be able to defend itself with its own technology before— We can, Melissa interrupted. She met the counselor's compound eyes without flinching. That's why we're here. Not to buy your weapons, to sell you ours. The chamber fell silent again. But this time the quality of that silence was different. The Kralix ambassador's mandibles stopped clicking. Counselor Thex leaned back in his seat, reassessing. You wish to sell weapons to the Confederation? The Kralix finally asked. Liam stepped forward, placing his hand on the Peacemaker's case. The galaxy said no gun could break Valerian armor. You failed for 10,000 years. He glanced at Melissa, who nodded. Humanity built 10 that work in 6 months. So yes, we're here to negotiate. The archivist's translator hummed with what might have been approval. The young species teaches the old a valuable lesson. Never underestimate those who refuse to accept limitations. As the council chamber erupted into debate, Melissa caught Liam's eye and smiled. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy asking for help. They were leaving as arms dealers to the stars. The galaxy had failed to break the armor, but humanity had done something far more important. They'd broken through the galaxy's assumptions about what was possible. And that, Melissa reflected, was the most human thing of all.